When you're thinking about going to university, what are you looking forward to? What do you think will be good about being there?
The obvious when you go to a girls' school, I suppose.
Also looking forward to a change, you'd say, because after doing 6 years of the same thing, at the same place, just to have a change,
I think you're regulating your workload and you can do as much as or little as you like, and you don't have someone constantly at your back. You're taking control really of what you're doing.
You're sort of on your own and you've everything...
It's self-discipline.
Yeah.
If you want to go to a lecture, you can go. If you don't want to go, you miss out.
No one chases you.
A lot more freedom.
No way. Yeah, it's freedom.
I'm just so ready to go. It's just, I just want to, I'm sick of having to be at school and there are teachers that, do this and do that.
Freedom?
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to making new friends and meeting new people.
Just a different lifestyle in general, because you get more freedom, you're more self-motivated. You got to do what you want to do yourself. You're not so, you're not, roped into things that you might not want to do by teachers.
Well, we're a boys' school, so yeah, looking forward to the females.
And there aren't petty regulations,
Yeah.
What kinds of petty regulations
Well,
are there?
you know what you wear, where you have to be for silly things.
Nail colour.
Yeah.
Not being allowed to sit too close to the fence.
What's that about? What happens
I
when you...
I don't know, just strange.
Or someone from the outside might snatch you.
What if we sat there?
There's no one, on your back trying to get this done as there is, say in this school, like you get an assignment due and the teachers will hand you until you hand it in, and even forcing punishment if you don't. With university, I hear that they don't stress so much. They give you the assignment, but they won't be on your back. They'll just expect you to hand it in, which probably would cause a problem coming from this school being spoon-fed.
You're kind of left on your own and you just kind of put in this massive place, and like at Shelford it's really small, so we've got people forever making sure you're okay, making sure you go to classes, making sure everything, but at university you're just kind of left there and it's up to you.
I just think that I'm no one to them,
Being a number.
Yeah, it's very big. You walk around university and it's just massive complexes and.
Yeah, I think the lecturers will be a lot more formal, and it's up to you whether you go or not. And there's not so much interaction between you and the teacher. You're just basically listening to what they have to say, and then going back and studying it afterwards.
You get this impression that the lecturer is really into his own work, and so how they teach it is they're assuming that you've got background knowledge, and they just, I guess, ramble on into a different tangent, and you're just sitting there like, what?
And in class, I think the teacher, or at our school, the teacher wants to be there. They want you to do that well. They want you to learn, and they'll try the hardest. They'll push you, and they'll give you extra help whenever they have the time. And I just feel, I'm not sure, but the lecturers, they're there and they speak, and then after the hour is over, they leave, whether they're in the middle of the sentence or not.
After that, it was just bang into the work, before you didn't have time to think, and lecturer came in, introduced himself, and started rambling off some, kind of foreign language.
The lecturer just sort of comes in to start lecturing, and they don't care. You sit there, you talk. I mean, some care, but you sit there, you're not there. They don't care. It's just different to the way you at school, because they sort of taught you, and here you just got to sit there and listen and learn it yourself. It's a bit different.
Is that hard to get used to?
First, but then
You have to be very disciplined.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get used to.
Yeah.
Because you've got to continuously motivate yourself to work and study.
It's quite easy to attend the lectures, but actually listen in them is quite hard.
Yeah.
What did you make of the teaching at first? How different was that?
A little different in that it wasn't as personal as the classroom situation. It's like with lectures, especially for the commerce subjects, they're very big. Like I'm in South 1, one of the lecture theatres, and that's the biggest one there. And there's no way knowing, if you don't understand something, you can't exactly put up your hand and say, whoa, wait a sec there, It's
unrealistic, because a lot of teachers really help the students out in a personal way, whereas at university it's not going to be like that. It's going to be more clinical, it's less personal, and so we get used to having being really close to our teachers, you know, going giving them drafts and, you know, redrafts and stuff like that. University's not, I don't think it's going to be really like that. We have to do things ourselves more. So that's sort of, you know, sort of like a security blanket which won't be there at university, I think.
It's less like one-on-one teaching. Like here, when you do VC, you interact more with the teacher. And I think in uni you don't do that. It's basically you go there, take your notes, do your work, and that's it.
There's no one to push you or threaten you or anything. Just
or help you out.
Prompt. If you don't do it, you'll fail.
At school, teachers pretty much just gear their learning just to helping you, but at uni, lecturers, tutors, they probably won't give you the time of day.
And that will probably come as a rude shock next year when we have to sit down in front of someone talking and find out the, you know, the main points. Whereas here, the main points are already written down for you. You don't have to really, you know, concentrate on looking for the vital aspects of it.
There's not as much of an obligation for a lecturer in university to make sure that the students understand, whereas at, during the VCE there's a teacher is there to basically make the student understand and therefore can explain things in greater depth.
Teachers at school are obviously there to make sure that on the surface you're doing well and that your official results are good. Whereas at university, their goal is for you to understand, but that requires a lot more effort from you. And that means that there's a big difference in the presentation of the information, and a lot more self-reliance is necessary, a lot more individual work to do. Whereas at school, the teachers will present you with things in a much nicer form, you know, easier to chew pieces of information.
Once you get used to it, it's better, like, because it's like encouraging independent thought, and you can work things out for yourself, and it's up to you how much you want to know and how much you don't. So yeah, that's what I find. They don't openly, they're not openly that personal with you, like, because we've got quite large classes with cuts and all things like that. So the teachers aren't always nagging you, or not at all nagging you really. It's up to you. And no, but if you need the help, they're really willing to talk to you.
I don't think I actually learnt a lot in Year 12, like academically. It was just a lot of criteria that you had to fit and work that you had to do, and it had to be structured like this way and that way, whereas at university, you know, I'm a lot more well-read and I understand things a bit better, and it's just, yeah, there's a bit more freedom in what you do and your work, how you do your work, which wasn't there last year.
I think it's just enjoyable for once. It's probably a bit harsh on school, but I'm actually finding it more enjoyable. Probably because I just chose subjects I didn't actually enjoy that much in Year 12, because I was told this will get you the good TER, so do this and do that. And now I've finally come to realise, no, I'm going to do what I like, and just, yeah, it's made learning much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Most of the lecturers just tell you to go away if you come and ask them something after a lecture. But I found the tutors very helpful. Like, they're willing to spend time with you outside your tutorials. I found them really good and very knowledgeable too.
I had one lecturer who was really good and would sort of wait. He'd like, you know, make sure that everybody understood it, and he'd go back over things and say, this is difficult, set it out more in a structured manner. And he was really easy to understand, plus he kept our interest. He was a funny bloke, so he kept our interest really well. And I mean, I did really well in that unit. But I find that if they don't come across as friendly, they're a lot harder to contact. I mean, and a lot of lecturers don't even want to talk to you. I get the feeling, and they run out of the room at the end and run away.
Finding the class.
Yeah, getting everything together, like timetable and finding your way around and stuff like that. Like, I just heard that there's no one, they just give you a whole heap of papers and that's it. You're left by yourself. And so I'm thinking, great.
We've got with school, it's like pretty regimented, like where people sit and what they do at lunchtime, like the nerds and the smart people. Yeah, there's bells and it's all pretty well structured, but yeah, the cattle. But next year they'll just have no idea. I'll be so lost.
I think just trying to fit in to the general scheme of things, just the way things run. and just sort of being in the right place at the right time, I suppose.
What would you like to find out?
Mostly like who to go to if you need help. I mean, here you go to Mrs. King or someone, but where do you go? Like, you have to go to a faculty or something, and timetable and everything. It's all really confusing.
I just heard a lot at high school that you'd pretty much be all on your own. No one would help you with anything at all, and I found that to be incorrect because everyone was willing to help, was good in that respect. So I think that was a bit misleading. Everyone's got this idea that you get to uni and you have to figure out everything for yourself and no one's there to help, but yeah, there was a lot of people there. So.
When you hear things from people, you have friends who are at university?
Yeah.
Yep. And what do they say about it? How do they describe it?
Don't go. Some people say, you know, don't go because it's just too much. Like, these people can't handle it, and others say it's all great. It's a whole new life. It's a lot of distractions there too, and it's all different things.
Do they like it? Are they enjoying being there?
Yeah.
So it's better than Year 12?
Yeah.
Like most things would be better than Year 12? Okay.
I think it's mainly people who haven't made friends. Like, it's not necessarily their fault because it can be really hard to, like,
It depends on the course.
become friends with someone in such a huge crowd of people. But, like, yeah, I guess if people don't like their course, and also a lot of people find if they don't have to go, then they really can't be bothered going, especially if their course isn't that interesting.
It's a bit scary committing yourself to a course for 6 or 7 years and don't know that you like it or not. And like, we're given a lot of information, but we don't know what the course is like. And once we're there, you know, we're basically stuck with it.
I think that's what I'm worried about if I happen to choose something that I hate. And I think that's another real fear. Yeah,
What do you
about
do
getting
about
into a
it?
course that you hate, or it's another big fear.
Yeah, no, I know a few people and they've made wrong course choices because for the one thing just to get a job, and it's come unstuck because they're just not enjoying it and they're not getting good marks.
I feel really sorry for people doing a course that they haven't thought about and they don't want to do, because I know if I didn't like what I was doing, I would not do it again.
Well, because I've been at the same school for 6 years and 26 people, and I see them every day, and you know, for however long, and you know, I just don't know if people will like me.
Well, your friends won't really be in the same classes as you, and you'll obviously be meeting heaps of new people, the lecturers and stuff, and you'll, I know, just get to meet new people and just take it from there.
What images do you get about that social life from people who are there? Or
Free beer. That's all I hear. That's all I hear, I swear. I don't want to sound silly, but that's all that I hear. Free beer, free beer.
Free keg.
Yeah, you've got to learn how to drink beer because it's always free. I'm not drinking it anyway. Yuck.
Like loneliness as well. It's such a big place. So many people. You won't really. If someone else from this school that you know goes there and does a different course, the chance of you meeting up with them, you know, during the week or is pretty slim.
I think it's hard to keep in contact with a lot of your school friends. So, you know, you said to yourself that you'd try and not sort of drift away from some people, but you know, inevitably it just sort of happens.
The tutorials and stuff like that were kind of scary in a way because you didn't really know anyone and no one really was willing to talk. So the tutor was pretty much just left to talk and for the whole hour, and you just sort of sat there. But eventually things sort of got going, and it wasn't too bad, yeah.
About how long did it take to feel more comfortable in the teaching situation?
I'd say a couple of weeks, about three, I guess, or 4. Once people sort of got to know each other and they sort of interacted outside the tutorials as well, and you sort of talked to them during lectures and things like that. During O Week, well, it wasn't all that much. I met some people like during the tour and stuff like that, and I'm just walking around, you just sort of walk up to people and say hello, and I actually met a lot of people doing that.
So what about orientation week? What was that like?
That was great. That was when I met most of my friends, and I mean, if I didn't go to that, it would have been more difficult for me to figure out what was what around the place.
You just make new friends because everyone's looking to make new friends. Everyone's really friendly. It's really easy. It definitely got both from school and from uni now as well. Heaps of good friends.
Now, what about your own study habits, work habits next year? Do you think they'll change?
I hope they'll change. If they don't, I'm in a bit of trouble.
How do you hope they'll change?
Hoping that I will study. That could be a start.
Slacker.
Slacker?
Yeah, easier.
It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of getting to know new people, so it's a lot of socialising and different things, you know, trying different crowds of people, not the same old thing you used to.
When you say it will be slacker, what do you think you're going to work a lot less next year?
Just less pressure mostly, less pressure from teachers, and I don't know really, but I don't think it'll be, you know, hasn't got as big a reputation as Year 12 have. Like Year 12's, you know, the be all and end all, and if you don't do really well in Year 12, then you're in big trouble.
Not being able to keep track of all the work I have, like just suppose I miss a day of lecture and find out that I've got an assignment due in, and I miss being told that.
Because I know that I'm going to be the sort of person who's not going to do the work, like I know I won't, and so I'm just worried that I'm going to have to repeat first year or whatever because I just won't have my act together.
I'm not sure about what standard my work will be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
comparison
to everyone.
Yeah.
That's right, because we've only got 26 of us to compare against. Like, you know, we can get a good mark, whereas when you've got 40, 50, 500, and you don't know, we've heard that, you know, our essay at school, which is worth an A+, could be worth a C or a D, or I don't know. Yeah, people are saying, you know, it's going to be laid back, or a big deal, wag a few, no chance. I have 26 hours a week, and that's contact hours, and my projects are just I've got 4 projects running at the same time, and I've got so much work.
Yeah, I had a lot of problem first semester, like adjusting, like even now it's just so hard to get motivated to do it because if you don't hand it in, nothing, I mean, you fail the subject or whatever, but no one hassles you. Like now all I get is a mean letter from the uni, no one like in my face or anything. It's just a letter that I can take into my room and read and say, okay. Like I don't really have to answer to anyone.
I definitely do less homework, and there's always heaps more to do as well, so you've got less time to do study and less time in general because you're going out all the time.
There are set requirements which you should meet, and it's a good idea to do those. You know, make sure you keep up with it. Because the problem with uni is if you don't keep up, then you find you get behind very fast.
I think there's also the temptation though to get sidetracked from your studies, because you're not forced to actually turn up to classes, and there's such a big social life associated with university, from what I've heard, that it could be easy just to get caught up in it. And I've heard people that regret just going out every night and getting drunk or whatever. And
I think there are some people, because they're just sort of all night, all week sort of partying, that kind of thing, getting pissed, getting stoned, whatever they feel like doing. And yeah, they sort of don't really care all that much. But I think that's a problem. You have to really stop and think of why you're really there. I mean, you're paying your HECS fees and all that sort of thing, and it's going to be a lot of money when you have to pay it. So I think you really need to focus on what you're really there for.
I think you rely more on your peers. Like I find that, you know,
definitely.
people come up to you and say, oh, have you done your assignment, or do you want to work together on it, or something like that, and then you just think, oh, I've got my assignment.
You quickly find out who the diligent ones are, and every morning you go up to them and say, do we have anything due today? When's our next lecture?
It means that you really have to organise, as Tim said before, a balance between all this social opportunity and all of this work that you do have to get done. And because it's all up to you to do, it just creates a lot of difficulty. And when you get behind, it's very difficult to catch up, as I'm finding now.
Last year it was like school and social life. This year it's sort of school, social life, and then you've got a work life in between and a living life in between, and you've got to, say, look after a car now and make sure you get to work on time. A lot of people are living by themselves and everything, and I mean it's that big chunk in the middle, and it's going to take cuts out of each side, so you're going to shrink your social life a little, but you're also going to be shrinking your school life as well, uni life as well.
The early mornings at uni are also tough. For some reason I just can't get up like I used to be able to.
Why would that be, dear?
I don't know.
It's very easy to get sidetracked, like just to, you know, be pulled along to do this or that, and you just think, oh yeah, like I've only got uni, it's not a big deal. I can miss half an hour of my first lecture. Like in year 12 you got pushed along because all your friends were like working as hard as you and you just couldn't afford to, you know, fall behind. And there's also the extra pressures of teachers and family and this and that. And now you just, you don't have anything.
What are you looking forward to next year? What do you think will be good about university?
Freedom, yeah, away from parents, from teachers, the stress placed on you. You know, like my parents, you know, once you finish year 12, you're an adult. You know, you're expanding your horizons to the world, and so there's definitely a lot more freedom. And the teachers won't be on your back all the time and handing you assignments.
It's a social life, basically. After school, you know, you might go out once every, you know, a few Saturdays if you've got the time between cats.
Uni's a perfect platform for us free and radical thinkers, so basically you can do anything and everything you want, unlike Hell, which was a really regimented education system, and you have no leeway, and with Uni you can just go on a tangent and do anything you want. There are no strict guidelines. Unlike Hellbury, like I was mentioning before, we have these, our hair, for example. As you notice, I've grown my hair. I had no hair last year. We had these, no earrings.
You get heaps of freedom. Like, no one cares. Like, I mean, people care about you, but no one like is on your back all the time. And you know, do this work, do that work. You know, so there's no one, you know, hassling you all the time.
I think it's meeting new people.
I just like uni life is great. It's exciting. You know, something new every day. Walk around campus, you see different things, protesting, graffiti on the walls. You know, it's a good life.
The most enjoyable part is the worst part for me because it's the fact that you're basically free to do what you want, and I need someone to discipline me, I think. Well, I need to be told that, like, I need to be made to feel guilty about things, and like no one does, so I just forget about it, and then the last second, oh God, I forgot to do that again.
And it's a lot more relaxed, like compared to year 12, it's just so much more relaxed, and you're not really stressed about your work or stuff like that. You do your work and that's it, but you know, you don't have to do 10 drafts or something, it's just a lot more. You do one the night before.
There's not all that much pressure, and there's a lot of fun to be had if you can sort of find it, and it's not all that hard.
It's also less pressure from the parents. In year 12, you get a lot of pressure from your parents, whereas in university, you can be independent, and therefore, as Michelle said, it'll be harder to get to get motivated because your parents aren't pushing you as well.
Just for the last 12 years, so you've always been pushed, told exactly what you have to do, what you can't do. It's good in the sense that you're more self-directed. You've really got a lot of options open to you, and you can choose what you want to do. So that's a good part about it. I guess the bad point is you're not as there isn't that much of a rein on you, let's put it that way. As far as control goes, it's really up to you. And if you're not, self-motivated, you're not, controlled yourself, then you can find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Do you tend to talk to your parents as much about work? Do they still ask about how you're going? Much?
They ask me all the time, but I don't. I think now that I'm out of school, I just want to do everything by myself, and I want to make my own decisions, and I don't want to go and see the counsellor because I just want to do it by myself and say that's the choice I made, and so I'll have to deal with whatever happens.
Yeah, they just generally ask out of interest, really, not out of hassling or anything like that. Whereas in year 12 it was more, how much have you done on your cat and stuff, whereas now it's, oh, did you do that? Oh, well, it doesn't really matter if you didn't. It's kind of my life now.
I think my parents have given me a lot more freedom, knowing that sort of I'm there, I can sort of motivate myself all right. So they're not really on my back all that much.
Yeah. do you think that your relationship with your parents will change next year?
Yes.
I would have to.
They better give me more freedom. I'll kill them. No, don't edit that.
Don't edit it.
I think parents are struggling with the concept that I start coming home with 55s and 60s. And I'm trying to tell them they're respectable marks at you,
My mum reckons I'm still at school, and she likes to know when I'm going to be coming home and whether I need a packed lunch and whether my assignment's in. I'm trying to tell her that, get over it, I'm over school, but it's taking a bit of time to adjust.
Have if you went back to your school now and had to sort of say, in one sentence, your piece of advice to Year 12s, what would it be?
Be prepared to do things for yourself, to have to remind yourself of things, and realise that it's not important to get into the top course that you can get into. It's important to get into what you want, because like Emily said, once you realise that that's what you're there for, it motivates you. You can't, you just can't get motivated to do really well on something you hate, then there's no point, because you'll never be good at it anyway. So I think it's the same with BCE subjects. People, like Alex said, chose a lot of maths and things just to get the high marks, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, definitely advise people to choose the subjects in Year 12 that they actually, like a lot of people say, well, this is what I want to do, but I should do this, or they say, well, I'm doing art, but I'm also doing specialist maths. Don't do specialist maths, don't do physics, don't do any of it, do what you really want to do. Maths teachers have a conspiracy, they say you have to do maths in Year 12.
Same with languages, don't do languages.
Yeah, just don't do it.
I guess they sort of need to be sure of what they want to do before they get there, because while you can sort of change your course, it does sort of, it affects you, and of course the amount of money you have to pay, it means extra HECS fees. So I guess you really need to be sure of where you want to be in like 4 or 5 years' time when your course is over.
Make a really huge effort at the start of the year to make friends that you feel really comfortable with, because it's very hard, because you find that people that you're friends with are maybe only being like 1 or 2 of your lectures, and other than that you never see them. And I definitely say get involved with uni as much as you can and get involved with the things you're interested in.
The main thing is just enjoy it, go there and don't worry about it, because there's a lot of people to help you if you do have problems.
Like uni life's, it's fun, but you've also got to remember that there is work. And I remember last year, like what I expected from uni was that it was going to be just one bunch of fun after another, like there was going to be no work or any. I thought there wouldn't be any work, but like the work is hard, and there might be a bit more, it's hard to tell, but like the work is harder, and just you've got to just remember that the work side of things, don't let it drop off, try and get a balance.
Yeah, I stress that they should do what they enjoy, because they'll most likely get a better score that way anyway.
Yeah, just doing what you enjoy, doing what you like and stuff like that, and not being so tense about it. It's not really worth the hassle. Your TER is good for about 10 days, and then it just drifts into oblivion and no one really cares what you get. It's kind of like that.
I thought in Year 12 I thought a lot more about how things were going to be in the future, but now when I'm in uni I'm just taking it as it comes.
I don't think I was ready to go to uni, and I still, I thought that I'd clean up my act this semester or whatever, but it hasn't really worked out that way. If they're not ready to go to uni, then don't go just because it's something to do, because you'll make yourself miserable and end up either deferring or failing or dropping out anyway, so only go if you really want to.
Don't necessarily take everything that the teachers say for granted. When you get to uni, it's really hard to give in to the temptation of going out all the time. You just turn 18 normally and you're going out every week, and soon enough you start finding yourself saying, oh no, I won't go to this tute because like I know it, and I'll go next week, it's alright, and next week comes and it's the same thing.
Just live a little. Pierce every part of your body if you want to. Just live a little.
No matter how much people will say to try and moderate what you're doing or try and keep up some work from the beginning and keep working, you really have to experience it for yourself and find your own way of coping with things. And whether that takes a little while longer than you want, or whether you don't find it particularly easy, you really should try and work it out for yourself and experience everything you can for yourself.
So if you're thinking about the kind of advice that you got on transition when you were in school or during your first year, What was the best advice you ever got about the process of going from school to university?
I was told more than advice, it was just that uni would be so much more fun and less pressure, and you go for yourself, and I think that was the truth. That was really what it's about. You put in as much as you get out of it.
Yeah, a lot of people I spoke to kept on telling me that university are the best years of your life, and you know, you go there and you're wondering, you know, is this the best year of my life? And you're like, oh shit, if this is it, I'm in big trouble. But you know, when you look back on it, and after a while, you just realise that you've just got, you know, the worries that you do have are so, you know, they're really not that big at all, and you can just do what you want, be where you want, and it's great.
Sort of similar to what the other said. Just the important thing is just to be proactive and make sure you go for everything.
Yeah. So looking back on your first year, about, you know, these are the best years of your life and stuff, and maybe that didn't feel right at the beginning. How long did it take you to get into it, to feel that you were actually a part of it?
2.5 years.
Okay. You want to explain that, Paul?
Oh, I mean, I always, from the beginning, I felt like I was behind the 8 ball. I mean, you want to get involved in everything you can, but it's so easy to get behind on the things that really matter, and you need to take time out on occasion to try and catch up if you do get behind. And I haven't really got over that bad habit at this stage, but I mean, as long as you know that you're behind and you can keep track of where you are, then you can catch up eventually sometime.
As long as you stay behind, you know exactly where you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I found that people would say, just remember when you get to uni, it's sort of, there's no one telling you what to do and when you have to do it and all that sort of thing. And I found it was actually no use because I've always been hopeless at that anyway. I've sort of, you know, I needed that, and you know, what was the use of sort of going into another environment where it's even less so? So I sort of, yeah, did find myself falling behind and everything, but I sort of, for a long time, I've had no interest in it. That's why I've taken this year off, and hopefully I'm going to miss it. Sort of a bit of potluck.
Yeah, I actually found that when we arrived, everybody was so busy trying to make the transition nice and smooth. And then sort of when we got into the start of second semester, halfway through second semester, they've gone, okay, they've gone through transition now, we'll leave them on their own, and that's when the transition happened. So you sort of got used to it and then you got lost again.
Mm-hmm. So there was kind of support there for a while, but then you got left alone again. And was that second semester more difficult than the first?
I'd say so.
Yeah,
because you're expected to know everything and know when things fit in and how you're supposed to fit in. Whereas at the start, like, you're a lost sheep and they accept that and that's fine. And they just put so much into getting you a smooth transition happening for you, like camps and all sorts of things. Whereas second semester, you're like, okay, we're here now, and what do we do? Like, there isn't as much support or backup.
And there's an assumption that you've like gained these coping skills now that you're at uni. You know how it works. You're able to do everything for yourself. But I mean, you still need it, and it's not always there for you.
It's because I took a year off after school and then came a year later from all my friends, and when I got there I missed out. I don't know if my name got dropped off the list somewhere, but I didn't get a single call about O Week. I didn't have host scheme, and I got to uni on the first day. I didn't know how to choose my subjects. I picked really amazing subjects and then were told they're in 4th year and I could go back and change my choices. I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know number 1 meant first year. But it was just it was the opposite experience, and I was totally overwhelmed, and then I didn't know how to use the library, I didn't know anything. And the first essay I had to do, I got my mum to help me, and it was just, I felt so lost.
My course actually did something when I was in first year. Mine's a small course though. I'm doing public relations. It's like 50 people in the year level, and the faculty's only like, you know, a couple of hundred. So we had like an information day. They mailed us out our little booklet. Then they had an information day, and we went to the lecture theatre, and they told us about our electives and stuff. And then we broke off into our little courses and just had a little question session if we had any questions. And this was like the week before.
I think the student organisations do the better job as far as universities go, like in terms of integrating other students. Really much more effective.
Yeah, we had a similar thing to that. We had the 4th years kind of spent a day with the new students and took us all around, showed us where our rooms were, discussed all the courses and stuff, helped heaps.
Yeah, meeting older people through camps, they sort of act as informal mentors to guide you through what the problems they've been through before. I found that was the best bit.
So it's student-to-student stuff that really is most effective. That's where the best advice and the best sort of help comes from.
You feel you can relate to them more as well.
But they're also trying to poach you for their own causes half the time. It's sort of like, come in this club, then you can help us rally outside, our building,
So they have their own agendas.
Yeah, definitely.
Because my course is so small, like everyone knows each other, and all the teachers are really helpful actually. Everyone knows your name, and it's like that certain closeness, but then that's also intimidating because then you feel bad wagging, or you feel bad doing anything because they know exactly where you are and what you're doing half the time.
So there's a delicate balance between known too well and not known enough.
My uni also paired us up with buddies in second year when we were in first year, and they were meant to call us and show us around, and one never called me.
Maybe your buddy was intimidated, Danny.
I never actually met her, and then I found out she dropped out of physio anyway, so...
Buddy systems can work well. I mean, they can also work appallingly, depending on what sort of a buddy you get. But I mean, if someone's friend had a good buddy, then that's okay, because you can use the other person's buddy. Lots of different student societies organise that sort of thing, and it works well. But I mean, it helps if you've got, say, a smaller faculty or a smaller course, just to ease the transition, because then you'll find that the older year levels will be much more likely to communicate with you, I think.
So it's actually that contact with older students that's really, really important.
I found with the arts degree, with 6,000 people in first year or whatever, the best way to do things was to make friends during O week, and you just have a close-knit bunch usually during O week, and the first few weeks, and then you sort of branch out a bit, but you find you share all the same problems, and you work through with each other, basically. So with the bigger courses, it helps to make friends.
You just talk to the person next to you in the lecture. Go, hi, do you have a clue? Nah, me neither. Start from that.
Same boat, it's the
Yeah.
And everyone's looking to make friends, and especially in that first year, everyone wants to go to uni, make new friends, all the time. So you just make the most of it and be approachable, and
And it's fun.
If you get all hyped up in this whole transition thing and you're so scared and nervous, that's going to be so negative, because everyone's in the same boat, everyone's in the same scenario. We're all starting off without our friends, and just be yourself.
How do you inform people about transition without, in a sense, making them think they're going to have a huge problem? How do we do that best? What's your advice to us on that? What do we tell
I'm at
people?
TAFE now, and I just started this year, so I'm sort of first year again, and I'm finding it really easy, no problems. I was just slotted right in there, getting all my work in on time, and I don't know whether that's because it's a course that I really wanted to do, whether I'm more mature, having had 2 years out of high school or what, but I just think if you're not ready to go to uni, you're not going to slot right in there, and you've got to be ready to go and be wanting to do what you're doing.
So is that the message that you think we should?
If you don't want to go, then you're not going to have a good time, you're not going to pass, you're not going to, it's not going to be fantastic for you, because it wasn't for me at all.
I agree. I failed first year uni, so and I just think I wasn't ready for it. I should have maybe taken a year off, because I went in there and I was thinking, I'll do uni. First semester was great, and then second semester I don't know what happened, and I just failed, and and then I ended up repeating first year again. So I'm doing second year now. So I've been there a year longer.
Was it a huge problem that you failed and you had to repeat?
For me it wasn't, but telling my parents it was. I actually, to be honest, I didn't tell them and they found out. So, and that was my mistake.
Yeah, same thing happened to my girlfriend. She was doing theatre, drama or something at Monash in Clayton, and she went straight after school, she was expected to go to uni, and she failed. She took a year off and worked, and now she's back and enjoying it much more, because she's had the perspective of this is work. I'm not learning anything. I don't like this. Now I do want to go to uni, and I didn't go to uni. I started working. 6 months in an office can make you change your mind so quick about education. And I've done a few short courses, and I'm sort of happy with the way things have turned out. Although I didn't go down the same path as all my friends.
So it's really
there's other options.
I took a year off, and I was really glad that I made that choice, because for me, I wanted a break after year 12, having worked so hard in it. And then my plans didn't go according to how they were supposed to. I was supposed to go away for a year, came back after 6 months, and then I was working and a good job for the next 6 months, but it was so hard and there was just so much pressure, and it's so different from uni. And then I was really ready to go to uni by the next year because I wanted to learn and I wanted to do things for myself. And I think it really is important that you're not pushing yourself into it if everybody's worked towards their goals through year 12 and put a lot of pressure on themselves. And the truth is that when you get to uni, you don't have to put the same pressure on yourself, even if you've got twice as much work.
You've also got to remember that uni's not free. Like, I did a year of uni and got nothing from it, didn't learn anything, and I've got, a $4,000 debt that I'm going to have to pay off. It's not a cheap way to gain life experience. Like, if I had just taken the time off and realised that that's what I need to do instead of go and spend all this money that I don't have, and find out now that I can do a course that's, what I like and a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah. They don't really promote it as an option that much at school, like taking the next year off.
No.
They say, okay, you're going to go do this, this, or this, but they don't really say, okay, maybe think about this, because definitely from what everyone said, it's a really worthwhile thing to do. we've got in my course a lot of people at the end of second year saying, oh my God, we're this far into it, is this what I want to be doing? There's another so many years to go, taking the year off or quitting the course after 2 years even, or 3 years. And maybe if they'd had taken the time before getting themselves into it, it really would make a big difference. And it's a lot of money too.
So I was going to say earlier about the advice. There was only one teacher, this is the most memorable advice, I don't know if it's good or bad. One teacher in year 12 said, look, if you don't want to be here and you don't want to go to uni, don't be here, go get a job. And I was like, oh my God, no one's ever, what's this? It was like such a unique sort of way of thinking, because everyone else had said, all right, this is year 12, this is uni, and I'm like, well, hang on, this isn't.
So it's almost like assumed, it's kind of natural process.
I went through the same thing towards the end of second year. It's like, I wanted to get in this year 12, I aimed for this is what I got into. Then halfway through second year, it's like, is this what I want to do? If I change course, I've already got these 2 years of debt and I have to do another 3-year course. And a few people in my course have changed and are looking towards doing other courses now. So
there's just a lot of pressure in year 12 to pick what you want to do at the end of the year, and I think that's ridiculous. How can you be expected to know exactly what you want when, firstly, you're in a limited environment, you've got hardly any experience in the wide world to speak, and you're only 17 years old. I think it's crazy that they expect you to know what you want to do.
It's not what you want to do, it's what you should do often. Therefore you get a score that's so much, and you go through the TER list and you think, okay, I can get into this course and this sounds good and this will make mum and dad really proud of getting into this course. And then people choose those courses or choose campuses, and one of my friends, she dragged on her transition for 2 years, like constantly failing and not turning up, and this year she's decided to take a year off and just re-examine it. But to take a year off was just such a shock to her parents. They practically kicked her out of home and disowned her because she wasn't doing the whole study thing.
So one of the groups that perhaps needs to know more about transition would be parents. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. They've got a lot of work to do.
I think it's learning to let go, and I think it's also maybe letting us have a decision and not trying to influence our decisions as to what we want to do. My dad really wanted me to become a doctor, and I just didn't want to become that. And I got an interview and it totally showed in my interview, I think, because I just made no effort to learn my chemistry again and all that kind of stuff because I just didn't want to be there.
My parents didn't really want me to go to uni because they're like, oh, you realise how much it costs and are you sure you want to do this? Where my other friends' parents are like, you have to go to uni. What are you talking about? Yeah.
So most of you, there was this kind of assumption that you would go straight through, you go to uni.
My parents didn't really push me when I started uni at all. They used to push me hard at school, and I found I performed far better at uni when I wasn't under any pressure from them than I did at school, because I knew that this is where I want to be and I'm doing this for me, not for anyone else.
Because I remember when I spoke to you all when you were in year 12, one of the questions I asked was, why do you want to go to university and whose decision is it? And you all insisted it was yours at that time. That you'd made this decision, that this was what you were wanting to do. So maybe it's not quite as clear cut.
It's probably an uneducated decision or uninformed. Sort of, you don't really know all your options, so you think, yeah, I'm deciding to go to uni, but
so
you don't really know.
Is one thing that might be good that schools try and give more information about those options?
Yeah. Definitely.
I think it's a fairly conditioned response that we all turn around in a Year 12 level and say, we're going to uni and it is our decision, because that's exactly where we've been headed all our life. Like the pyramid of university and VCE and the whole TER system points towards higher education, and that's what we've been told through every form of media, is that the way to get ahead in life is through further education. But what we've been told, most of us in a school environment, is that further education equals university education, and it's, I mean, like someone else is working at a job, and there are other ways of getting ahead in life, and maybe you can't enter the professional realms as our parents could in the same way without university, but there's just a whole lot of other options out there, and it is hard at Year 12 for parents to open those doors, because there's in a lot of social groups there's almost a stigma of, well, why isn't my kid going to uni? Parents aren't always so open to other avenues.
You know, it's like when we were in school, we had to decide what we're going to do at uni. You don't always have to be looking 10 years into the future. You can be living, you know, somewhat for the now and just enjoying learning and just enjoying the life that uni can give you.
It's like whenever somebody asks you what you're studying, you tell them and they go, what are you going to do afterwards? Where does that get you? What job are you going to get? And you're like, I'm just concentrating on the now. I'm doing arts.
It's kind of an arts question.
And it's not fair. I'm doing science. I'm answering the exact same question the same way.
Everyone gets it. It's the natural progression of the conversation. It's like, what are you doing now? And then what?
But what's wrong with just pure education and, you know, just having fun?
Very good question, Dale.
Another thing to do with the transition and the info that parents get at school as opposed to what they get at uni is, I think that my parents got a lot of feedback on how I was going, just like I did at school. And once you go to uni and there's not so much feedback, not so much assessment all the time, you can come to terms with not knowing how you're doing, but your parents really want to know, well, I found. And when I wasn't getting assessed, so I didn't know how I was doing, my parents had even less clue about what I knew and how I was going. And right now, I'm perfectly okay with, I roughly know where I am in my year with my curriculum, with my course, what I'm doing. But they want to know, okay, so are you doing enough work? How are you going? Much more than they used to at school, because they used to worry. I mean, they worry more now, I think.
Most of you still living at home?
Yeah.
Back. I'm back.
Back, okay. So how does that relationship with your parents, how has that changed now compared to, you know,
my parents were like that a lot first year, like, because Year 12 they know when the cat's due, they want to know what marks you're getting, how you're going. First year they were a lot like that as well, but now that I'm third year, they've kind of come to accept the fact that they don't know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm going. I mean, they know I'm going all right, but they won't hassle me like, why aren't you doing any work and all this. So.
Just a final thing I'd like to ask you all, some of you have been in this sort of research for a while. You've come 3 times to be filmed or twice to be filmed or whatever. You've done questionnaires and stuff. Do you think that your transition experience was affected by that? Was it worse because what you were saying before about kind of focusing on problems? Was it easier because you'd thought about it?
Well, for the last video session, I was failing uni at the time, and I was going to come and lie about it because I didn't want to be on film forever saying, I've failed these subjects now, and I was going to work harder this year, but that kind of hasn't worked out.
But we broke you, Clayton.
Yeah, you did. The truth came out. But yeah, I was a bit embarrassed about that, because I thought that it was going to go back to my old school, and I was going to be like, because all these guys were still there, and I was going to be like the failure of the group. But I've already passed that now.
They're going to show the school thing. This is the bad girl.
Don't listen to anything this one
be like
says.
the bad girl. Okay, any other reflections?
I don't know whether it made it better or worse, but I was just more conscious of it, I think. I don't know if it would have made a lot of difference whether or not I'd done this, but I did reflect a few times and think, well, gee, okay, there actually was a transition I was making, whether or not I would have been aware of it otherwise. But yeah.
it also made you think about whether you were taking anything for granted, and it made you realise all of a sudden that, hey, maybe I don't have to go to uni, or maybe this isn't the thing, or maybe it's not going to be easy, or maybe it is going to be easy and we're just blowing it out of proportion. It made you realise what you were taking for granted and what you weren't at that year 12 stage when everybody was saying, you're going to go to uni, it's this evil dark monster that's going to eat you up and kill you.
So it made it, that sounds like it made it a bit easier.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
And even just thinking about it now, sort of, oh yeah, that's where I am, that's where everyone else is. It's sort of, you feel out of touch when you're not actually there at the moment, or maybe you feel out of touch from the outside world when you still are there. It's sort of, it's even good sort of now, just to find out what other people are doing.
I was more conscious of other people doing this because I thought, oh yeah, it was fine with me, it was cool. And I was looking at my friends or people that weren't settling in, and I was more conscious of what they were doing in order to settle in and the transition and things like that. And I could see problems that they were having or something like that. So it wasn't really an issue with me, but I think maybe with other people. In my relationships with other people, it was.
You could be an analyst for the...
Yeah, I was analysing all the problems.
That's what's the verdict.
But it's true. I mean, I always looked at my friends from school when I was in first year, and I kind of compared where I was leading in comparison to them, and I kind of said, oh, you know, like, or maybe I'm not doing that badly if they're having problems as well, or, you know, it makes you feel a bit better if other people are in the same boat as you or even struggling a bit more than you, because then you think, oh, it's not that bad.
Makes you have a look at, see a lot more perspectives on like the way getting into uni and things like that. Just see a lot more of it from being involved in this, see all these other points of view. It's really good.
Also that other people are going to be watching it, other people who are in the same place as we were then, or who are in the same place as we were, and just thinking, I wish someone had said that to me then. It would have helped a lot. So hopefully, you know, somewhere something's come out that helps someone.
Just one person.
Okay, we can all join hands now, please. Okay, it's not actually about that at all, really. It's just an excuse for me to be on television, but that's the main thing.
It's to get out of class in year 12.
That's it. That's the end. Thank you so much for coming back and talking again.